My name is Marc Abrams, and welcome to Odds and Ends with Marc and the Godfather. Again, I'm Marc Abrams. This is the Philly Godfather, Steve Maltepis, and this is the College Kids. Is that plural?
Well, yeah, there's two. There's multiple kids, but
These are two of the biggest sports, and we're going to actually have your brother on, the 8 Ball, coming on later. So these are three of the biggest sports gamblers in the country that we're going to be talking a lot of sports gambling, and all kinds of stuff. Later we'll have Johan Jr. of Johan Promotions, probably the godfathers of the pay-per-view and closed circuit industry. Steve knows him a long time. I actually met you through Johan at the gym about 11 years ago.
Yeah, I used to box. I've been boxing since I was 10 years old. Our family has our own boxing gym over there by 9th and Girard. And, I took it seriously for a while, but it hurts. And I realized that making money betting on sports was a lot less painful than it was boxing.
We'll get to the college kid in a minute. We want to kind of just talk about you and gambling, and then we'll finesse everyone into the conversation. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. How does one become one of the biggest sports gamblers in the country?
It's a crazy story. It started over 30 years ago, and I met some real sharp guys out of Vegas, and they told me they win at betting sports. And at the time, I was a young kid, and I always knew you had to risk 110 to win 100. So to me, I thought it was negative expectation. I mean, how good can you be? I mean, the bookmakers always made the money back then. They always drove the fancy cars. They always lived in nice houses. And these guys said, don't worry about it. Find us some bookmakers, and we'll cut you a percentage, and you start making money. So I said, all right, what I got to lose? I was a young kid. I was broke. I said, let me give it a shot.
Usually when you're broke, you're not betting money, though. That's weird. You're trying to save money to...
I was a kid. I was 18 years old. I mean, I'm fresh out the green behind the ears now. I was on the street for years. I passed out parlay tickets in, middle school and junior high. I always try to earn, always try to make some money. And I meet these guys, and they sold me. So I found some bookmakers. And after about 2 months, they were destroying the books. And I said, wow, man, this is a real opportunity. And we were making a ton of money back then. Now, obviously, our edge was a lot bigger because the information that they had wasn't vast like it is today all over the internet. Now, everyone knows the injury reports today. Everyone knows who's playing. Everyone knows about travel. Everyone knows about, the probabilities of the matchups. How wind affects the game in the football. If there's more than 20 mile per hour winds, you're looking to bet the under. Back then, only these guys had all that information, and they were one of the few groups that actually had a computer system. Because back then, no one had a computer. You had like Commodore 64 and Atari.
I love the Commodore 64.
Yeah, so that was like the first computer I remember. So, but these guys, and I remember working out of an office as a kid for these guys, and they had the big satellite dish. Remember that big?
Yeah.
And we were getting information from North Dakota, and back then we would get it about a half hour before the game started. Say the quarterback was out. Now no one else knew that in the country. Usually back then you would get it 1 minute before game time. North Dakota quarterback isn't playing, and all these bookmakers out of Philly, they were using newspaper lines, so they wouldn't even adjust their number. So we were able to get down as much as possible without the number moving. We had more information than everybody, and that's how it slowly evolved. I started as a kid, worked for these guys for a long time, and we made a ton of money. And eventually I said, I got to learn how to handicap myself, because these guys are making a ton of money, and I want to learn what they're doing. And we learned all the gambling angles. We learned about the metrics surrounding the game, the qualitative, quantitative factors, and we took it from there and we ran from it.
I'd be remiss if I didn't tell everyone out here we're live at the Fox and Hound in Center City, Philadelphia. For my money, the best sports bar in the country. I mean, it's for a guy like you, it's like a dream come true. You get your action in, you can watch every game at once.
I mean, there's 100 TVs in here. They got a bunch of beers on draft. I was looking at the shots. I'm going to get in trouble tonight.
Well, that's the thing. We're going 6 to 8, and we got some stuff going on at 7 o'clock. So try to stay focused on the show at 7 o'clock. I know
looking right at that bar right there, right now.
Oh, the bar. Okay.
Salivate.
So let's talk about how, like you said, how it's evolved. With the computers and was doing their Commodore 64. We're in 2020 now, and the technology is just unbelievable. How has that changed? How has it changed for a guy like you who, like you said, you're looking for an edge? Now some of that information is readily available.
Well, lucky for me, I compare sports betting to like cooking. Okay, you can give 100 people the same recipe, and you're going to get 100 dishes that come out. Some are going to be delicious, some are going to be horrible, some are going to be okay. So even though there's so much information to look at, it's the person processing the information and how much you value his opinion. And that's what makes the difference in the sports betting industry. There's lots of guys that win a little bit. There's guys that can't win at all. And there's guys like me and a few other sharp guys out there that, we make a living doing this. So, the information's great. I always want as much information as possible. During March Madness, we read about 16 hours a day. We try to look at all the metrics, all the matchups, the efficiency numbers, who's banged up, who's not, how these teams performed, recent opponents, common opponents. And you try to, what you're doing is you're making an educated guess and you're purchasing a price. We don't bet on teams, we purchase numbers.
And I'm going to bring in the college kids. So maybe, and put it this way, obviously the show's called Odds, Ends, Marc, and the Godfather. But when I saw you and your brother's story, I had to bring you guys on. I mean, it's crazy. I can understand, Steve here, who's been doing it a long time since he was a young kid. I think you and your brother, is it safe to say, are maybe two of the youngest professional gamblers in the country?
Yep, it's true. Godfather taught us everything we know. We were under his wing. He brought us in, and we learned entirely from him. It was
they're actually a lot sharper than I am in the NBA. I got to admit it. They read a lot more. They're faster on the computer. It takes me an hour to look at some stats. These kids are looking at so much more information, and they read so much faster than me. And I got to be honest, I'm getting old. I'm a little burnt out. While these kids, they got so much intensity and so much passion that they're starting to take over, Mark.
So tell us how you really got into it. Tell us, when you decided. You're called the college kids because you're still a student. We're not going to say where, but you're still a student. So when I think of a student, kid in college, you're going to class, you're going to have drinks at night, chasing girls, the whole nine yards. You're doing algorithms and all kinds of craziness to try to pick a college basketball game.
It's hard to balance everything, together, but at the end of the day, you sacrifice, a lot of your social life because you're so much into the work, and then you have a little bit of school work as well. You're trying to balance everything. It's really tough, but it definitely, you got to sacrifice some social life in that aspect.
And the ends justify the means.
and it's funny, I was making a joke with you off the air before he came in. You actually told me something. I figure you're the guy who's winning all the money. Your friends be hitting you up for the beers.
Nah.
You're actually giving out the picks to these guys. So
and they treat me because I'm giving them the winners.
So let's delve into a few things now about the industry itself. If we'd be having this conversation 5 years ago, it's a taboo conversation, especially here in Pennsylvania. Now the gambling's legal here in Pennsularia and in New Jersey. Why do you think it took so long for now? It's now 13 states, and you're projecting about 47, 48 states by the time.
I don't know if it's going to go that high, but within the next 5 years, at least 40 of the states will have some type of legalized sports betting. Now the infrastructure takes a little bit longer to get going, but eventually everyone's going to have a mobile app. There'll be sports books inside of every stadium. So you'll also be able to, bet on your phone, but then you go up to the window.
I bet on my phone.
And get a ticket, and you can actually cash your ticket because you know how long it takes to, process the money and send the money over from PayPal or Venmo, whatever you're using to these mobile sports books. So the landscape's going to change. I predicted it about 5 years ago. I was on TV, I was on radio talking about it. I said it's on the cusp. I saw what happened with all the marijuana in Colorado, California, and all the tax revenue it was bringing in for our schools, for our infrastructure, for our roads. And why would we allow all the tax money that's being wagered on sports to go to the black market or to shady characters offshore or to the underground when we can bring that home and help everyone in the city, in the state, and make our lives a little better.
What do you prefer these days? Do you prefer actually going to the casino? Do you prefer doing it on your phone? What's your preference?
Well, we try to disguise a lot of our information. So if we go to the window every time and they monitor us and they label us an advantage player, they'll start moving the lines.
Or they'll ban you, right?
Well, they'll ban. Some places ban you. Some places limit your wagers. Some places, like you said, they kick you out completely. So you really got to be real sharp, not just to bet these games, but how you bet them, at what time you bet them, when you're supposed to hit the window with them, when you hit off screen, because there's off screen accounts we bet with that don't affect the lines, and then there's on screen accounts that do affect the lines. So you got to be real careful in how you place your wager if you want to survive this long term. There's a lot of guys out there that are sharp, that just don't care. They're greedy, and they hit the window, then they get banned, and then they start crying like little girls about it. Well, you got to be smarter about it, you know?
Do you notice maybe one particular casino or another? I know it's all done probably real-time computer, that maybe that you can get a good line more than maybe a different place? Without naming them, obviously.
No, I mean, I could beat any of these casinos to the number. We give out overnights, the college kids, 8-ball. We give them out for free sometimes on Twitter, and they'll move 5-6 points the following day. So the key is knowing with who to bet them, at what time to bet them. This way you can get down as much as possible, and you got to do it in an efficient manner.
Talk to yourself. I mean, when did you start? I mean, do you want to give your age or
When did I start?
Yeah.
I started in high school, big time, not big time, but I started like local high school guys, me betting with them, beating them out for a couple bucks here and there, 400, 500, and then it just kept on escalating.
I mean, do you consider yourselves like a team? Do you guys disagree over games?
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Not
we do.
much.
Sometimes,
I mean,
but every now and then it happens, but usually we're on the same side.
But we both have great opinions back. We both have great game theory. We look at all the numbers. So if we do disagree, both of our arguments carry weight. So you're just not always right. It's about the price, Mark. It's not even about the teams. We can be like, I could lay 2.5 on the Eagles. The game goes to 4.5. If these guys think there's value on the other side at plus 4.5, well, there's two different numbers. So we can actually both win our wagers.
I thought about this years ago. Is sports gambling? It's basically like you're just buying a stock for 3 hours.
You're investing.
Yeah, it's a
we
market.
consider investing. Yeah, it's a market like any other market. The numbers are constantly moving. I mean, if you buy Apple at 100 and it goes to 150, well, that's a great investment. If I lay 6 on the Eagles and the game closes 7.5, 8, or 9, that's a great bet.
I do a little stuff, and I talk to you about it. I like to bet the night before. Sometimes I get burned on a line. Like tonight we're talking about a game. I have Charlotte tonight getting 2. It's 4 now.
Yeah.
Should have
Went
waited.
the other way.
Should have waited.
But there have been other times where it goes the other way.
Yeah.
When you get the best of the number, that's positive expectation. When you get the worst of the number, that
negative.
becomes negative expectation. But you might still be able to win your wager. It's just, it's like buying a car for $40,000. The next day they're selling it for $25,000. Sometimes you got to wait.
What precipitates a line move like that?
Well, sometimes there's some sharp money. There's market manipulation going on. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Right now, over 70% of the public money is all over Michigan State. Okay? So the wise guys might know that's, the public's going to be all over that team. So they might get ahead of the market and take a nibble on Michigan State, move that line a little bit. The public comes in. So now you see the line move on the screen. You think Michigan State's the right side. And then right before game time, you see a large influx of sharp money, concentrated money, just hit the dog, Penn State, and you get caught with the wrong number, and you get caught on the wrong side of the game. So
would you say? I'm just trying to infer in what you're saying. Would you say that it's maybe best to wait?
If you're taking a public favorite, you want to get ahead of the market. If it's the right side, if it's not the right side, you got to really pick and choose your spots, and you really got to know. The edge, what kind of type of edge you have on this matchup. You got to know how much money's behind this game, who's betting what, and you got to have a vast network because maybe you handicapped the game for 3 hours and you didn't find an edge, but there's another group out there that did. So you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with.
Okay, then you actually kind of segued into something. Handicapping the game for 3 hours, and if you don't mind, take me through that. It's more than just Michigan State against Penn State. And we got some comments. Actually, my brother actually is a good thing. We'll get to him in a second. 3 hours. It's not as simple as Michigan State and Penn State. Who do I like? You
need a team. I think there's 73 games you can bet on between preseason baseball, NBA, hockey, college basketball. So it would be impossible for me to handicap each and every game. So you're looking for your spots. I'm gonna let the college kid tell you, like, they wait. While we're watching the games tonight, the lines for tomorrow come out.
Yes.
And these guys they're already on them.
Yeah.
So tell me exactly what
I
you're
bet
looking
at 10 o'clock the night before.
So tell me what you're looking
When
at.
we're looking at these games overnights, we're going through pace of play, we're going through offensive efficiency, recent play, how are they performing, time of seconds after a made shot, missed shot, after a turnover. We're looking at all these different various statistics, all these different advanced metrics, and we come to a conclusion and we see what kind of edge we have. We talk to other people and we make our conclusion.
And if they like the price, it's about price.
Yeah.
This is all about price. They purchase that number.
It's amazing. We talk about like a lot of these sports teams now are drafting players, training for players based on analytics. So it's same concept.
Basically, I mean, it's a market just like anything else. You want to try to get the best of the number, and you want to make do your homework.
We like I said, we have a question. It's actually my brother who he likes to put a shekel or two on the game. In-game betting. What do you guys feel about that? Is there an edge to that?
We got one of the best in-game guys in the world right there. My man Piggy, 4280. He's probably the best in-game sports bettor I've ever met in my life. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone has their niche, and it all depends too. It's just say I like Penn State tonight, and Michigan State comes out to a big lead, okay, and they're up 14-2 to start, or 16-3. Well, now I can get a better price on Penn State than I originally purchased. Well, I'm going to bet it again. So it really depends on who you like on the game before the game starts, the ebbs and flows of that matchup. You see how the game's going. You see how the refs are calling the game. You see maybe there's one dominant player who's just destroying the opposing player on the court. So it might even change your mind about the game. But yeah, there's opportunity in game betting. Now the limits ain't as large, but you can still definitely make a ton of money doing it.
I mean, is it as simple as maybe the star player goes down and maybe you go the other way?
Well, that line moves fast.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you see a star player, whatever you're seeing, the odds makers are seeing. So you got to remember that.
You talked about reading all the stats, all the analytics, whatever. I remember you've told me before that you just try to read everything, even the basic
Information is knowledge.
Even the basic stories about the team, or story or that you'll read the Philadelphia Daily News, or just what's going on with the Sixers.
The beat writers are good because they're always around the team, and you never know when you're going to find that little tidbit of information that'll help you in a predictive manner.
Yeah, give me. I'm sure it's happened to you guys a million times, and I'll ask you. Give me one time where you were just reading a regular story about a team and it helped you.
I'll give you an example. I think it was Houston versus, I forget who they were versing, but they had said, I was reading one of the beat reporters, they were saying, we really don't believe at all like there's any chance James Harden plays. And I found this out. And no one knew about it. And it wasn't a big artist. A big reporter.
And this before the line.
Yeah, it wasn't a big reporter.
Market, yeah.
So no one really knew about him. So we got that knowledge, and we're able to bet the other side and get the best of the number.
Before the number moved, so they got a great price.
Exactly.
And just that little tidbit of information. I mean, on a star player like that who can impact the game so much, who probably move the line 3-4 points if he's out.
Exactly.
So you're getting a ton of value there as soon as you bet that game.
I have another question here from Michael Cameron, boxing manager, know him real well. I've noticed that the two best bets are college basketball underdog in the first half, the money line, and for in-game tennis gets crazy. You'll see a 4-1 favorite down a set and be plus 400. Is that stuff that you've known? You go to tennis or?
No, I don't do no tennis. There's a lot of tennis guys out there. We don't mess with tennis at all. But when it comes to college basketball, I mean, the home dogs are so tough, especially if they lost the previous game on the road to that team, and they come out firing, they come out with enthusiasm, with passion. You got the crowd behind you, and they usually come out to a blistering start in the first half, and you can definitely grab some value there.
I want to go back for a second. We talked about the casinos here, the Parks Casino, the Rivers Casino, I guess Harrah's. The biggest gambling area, in this area has been Atlantic City. And Atlantic City was great for a number of years, and then it became dormant. We've all been down there. I know you've been down there a bunch to do your sports gambling. How much has sports gambling, maybe juiced up Atlantic City?
Oh, a lot. I mean, there's doing so much building around Atlantic City. Still got a long way to go. But if they can emulate that Las Vegas feel with the nightclubs, with the fancy restaurants, with all the shows, with the big boxing events, well then, essentially you're end up going to have like an East Coast, West Coast, Disney World, Disneyland. You're going to have an East,
it was like
East
that
Coast,
before.
Yeah, actually the gambling revenue in Atlantic City used to surpass Vegas.
Yes, yeah.
And now
you had all that New York money coming.
Yeah, New York, you had Boston, you Washington. I mean, the majority of the population is on the East Coast. So who's going to want to take a 5-hour flight out to Vegas to go to the sand when you can go to the beach and have a great ocean view and have everything that Vegas has, if they can emulate Vegas and copy that winning lifestyle, that winning nightlife that Vegas has. If they can do that in Atlantic City, it's going to be a grand slam. Real estate properties will go up, and the whole city will be, rejuvenated.
Another thing that's new, and we talked about before, touched on. Now we're going to get into. I bet on an app. I'm not going to give the app its name because they're not paying me yet. But apps. I mean, you're a young guy. I mean, you're an older guy, but so I'll go the young guy for this. Talk about the apps and how that's impacted.
The apps have been huge. I mean, obviously, you don't got to go to your sports book anymore. You don't got to get down. You have it right on your phone. It's easy. It's quick. Very accessible. And it's easy for people to bet.
And you can do it anywhere. You could be in school. You could be at work. You could be anywhere. You can pull over in a car. We could be right here betting a game right now. I mean, it's just it's so much convenience. It's an easier way to get down.
Here's what I want out of one of you guys tonight. You don't have to. Would you get one of you guys bet a game tonight while we're on the air?
Yeah.
Okay. Well. So hold on for that. So that's going to be our big thing. Is there a certain game in mind that you haven't touched yet that you're thinking about for 7 o'clock or 8?
I'm waiting for the Penn State line to go to 3.
Okay.
And maybe take some Penn State. Just a little nibble, not so big. A little nibble. Penn State plus the 3. Majority of the public's going to be all over Michigan State. Penn State's against top 25, top 50 teams, they got, I think, the second or third best record in the country against some real solid teams. They've been underperforming of late, so I think this is a big game for them. This is their Super Bowl against a great Michigan State team, against a great coach. So I think there's a little bit of value on Penn State tonight.
We have, like I said, there's just so much to talk about. You've been to Vegas, I know, many times, and yourself as well. And we're gonna get the 8 ball on, and sorry, he's like, I see he's chomping at the bit. He's ready to spew his knowledge.
He's ready to fire.
What's the difference? Is there a difference now that you've been down to the places in Atlantic City?
Oh,
forget about the atmosphere and the nightclubs, all that stuff. But in terms of
well, actually, you got better bets in Vegas. You got better prop bets. You got better prices. A lot of guys from Vegas are flying to AC to get down now because they got promotional boosts. Actually, Atlantic City lost money in the Super Bowl this year. I think they lost like $4.2 million. So they're doing a lot of free stuff. They're giving away a lot of free stuff, a lot of free money, a lot of match play. So it gives you an opportunity to make some more money.
By the way, we get the TV in front of us. Michigan State's 3-0 on the road against ranked opponents.
I love it. When they sell that and the public feeds on that and they start betting that, that's how I make money.
So you go the other way. I got you.
Now I might lose tonight, but I love when I see that. When they keep sending out information like that, and they're programming people, and how Penn State doesn't have it. Look, Penn State lost 3 of 4 after an 8-game win streak. It's like they're telling the public to bet Michigan State, and now I'm on the other side every time.
Does Mississippi State play tonight? Because Mike Cameron.
I got to check. Does he have a game number?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
He 601, 602.
He even knows the game number.
Rotation number. Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
There's some sharp money that went over 147 in that game. If you want to get down on the total a little bit.
So you're saying under 147?
No, they went over. So 146.5. They went over in that game.
So
we're expecting some scoring. I didn't bet it personally, but there's some real sharp money that bet that.
To talk about you, I mean, do you prefer Atlantic City? I mean, you're right down the road, or
personally, I like the lifestyle of Vegas, and the atmosphere is better.
You even have time to enjoy the life out there?
It's hard. We actually went there, I think, around at the beginning of last summer to Vegas, and it was a great time. Had a great time.
We're going back out for March Madness, so.
All right. Well, I want to bring the 8 ball here. But he looks like he's about to hit me with a sledgehammer. he wants on. We're gonna bring you back on, but thank you. Some great information.
The college kids. Make sure you follow them on Twitter at TCK Experience, and they give it a lot of free information on Twitter, on the website. They're
know what I noticed about these two, and even Steve. They don't have. I don't know if you have cell phones. You guys just have your computers everywhere with you.
We bring the laptops. We got tablets. You gotta be ready. You gotta have your arsenal. You gotta have. These are our weapons against the bookmakers. We need them.
Another question. I always had a question. When the lines come out online or in the newspaper, do they put the game they feel will be picked by the way that they want it, or by the bettors on top, or is it random?
In the newspaper?
Yeah.
I don't really read the newspaper anymore. We have Don Best. It breaks down. It has all the rotation numbers of all the games from every casino, from every sports book around the country and offshore.
And I would see if he can slide a little bit for everything. Everyone wants to see you. So let me ask you this, April. Are you still in college or?
Yeah, still going to college.
Okay.
But he did take. Would you take a semester off?
Yeah, I took this semester off. March, man, is too much action.
Kid takes a semester off to make sure he's got the right lines on like Duke Prairie View on in a couple Thursdays.
Arkansas State, Georgia Southern, fire.
So what do you think? Do you have anything to add? I know you've been listening. Anything to add in terms of what your thoughts are of where gambling has been, where it is now, where it's going?
I think it's just going to get farther and farther. The more states legalize, it's going to become bigger and bigger.
Do you laugh at like you maybe overhear a conversation in college, in school about two guys arguing about a game and you're probably these guys know what the heck they're talking about?
Yeah, definitely. It happens all the time. Coffee shops, school, everywhere.
See, you're a young guy. You're still young enough. Are you a fan, or is it just business for you? You're a Philly guy. You're from the area.
Yeah.
Do you care if the Eagles win or lose?
Yeah, I love my Eagles, but you're loyal to your bankroll first.
There you go.
It's got to be to your money, man.
That should have been my yearbook.
We bleed green. Some of the best times of our life was when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and thank God we had them that year from the beginning of the year. We had futures on them. I gave them out on every radio show, TV show, you name it. And that was one of the best years of our lives when the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Take me through a typical day. Tomorrow, take me through your day. Or does it start
It starts
tonight?
the night before. Yeah, it starts tonight. You start
10 o'clock tonight. I mean, first of all, you still games that probably haven't started yet. 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at the prices that they come out with. You're basically paying attention to what these teams have been doing, whether they've been underperforming, outperforming. If there's been any aberrations over the last couple games, they might have lost a couple games in overtime. They might have some travel. You're just looking at everything and anything. You're reading articles on these teams, common opponents. You're looking at everything you can look at to try and gain the edge. You're trying to find some clarity, identify some value on each and every game that you are handicapping. And then if you don't find nothing, you don't fire, because that's what degenerates do. If we do think we have an edge, if we think we can make some money on this game, and the price is right, we're gonna invest our money.
By the way, how was the food?
It's pretty good.
What'd you order?
The grilled quesadillas.
It's great food here. Everyone should definitely stop by the Fox and Hound here in Center City. It's an unbelievable place to watch the games, hang out with some friends, have some good food, have a couple of drinks. You ever, go out to the games or come to the sports bar and have a couple cold beers and kind of quietly root what's going on?
Once in a while. I usually watch the games with no volume on, so I can take notes on these teams and just get a feel for them.
So talk about that then. Why that?
Well, you get a feel for each team, how they play in certain situations, crunch time, just like
You're taking notes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes these refs are a little shady, and these smaller schools are calling fouls. So you write down all the fouls on these teams. You write down, there might be a great point guard who seems to always choke in the clutch. So you make a little notation there. Stuff like that.
Now, do you guys do your work separately and compare notes, or do you guys do it more in unison?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes unison. It depends. Sometimes separately. I mean, we're not always together.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And actually, I think we perform better when everyone does their own work and we come back and we have a heated discussion about who we like and why we like it, and which way we think the line's going to move, if we can, get ahead of the market, or if we're going to sit back and wait and try and get the best of the number when that number keeps going, the other way.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, fans, we're going to get into just regular sports talk as well, without the lines and the odds, and I know
we're leaving.
You told me he wants to talk NBA, so.
This is the NBA specialist.
Oh,
right
he's
here.
the NBA specialist.
Yeah, and TCK is just as good, but this guy with his NBA player props have been amazing.
Well, what's that? We'll talk about that. What's NBA player props?
Well, we look at recent trends, how they're playing lately, post All-Star break, pre-All-Star break. Are their numbers increasing? Minutes. In terms of points, like if I'm going to go Kawhi Leonard over in his points, I want to see how many shot attempts he's attempted lately. Because I can't predict how many shots he's gonna make. I can only predict how many shots he's going to take. The more shots you take, the better chance you have of reaching your goal.
Someone wants to know your win percentage.
Long term?
Yeah.
maybe if we're lucky, 4.5% edge over the house, 57%. Long term.
This is what I was trying to get to. The reason why I thought this idea in doing the show with the Godfather here and these guys. These guys aren't like some touts will say who are going to tell me they went 13-1 on exhibition baseball every day and won 19 in a row. You're not like that. You're
Listen,
honest.
I've won 30 in a row and I've lost 18 in a row. I mean, it's a war. It's a battle every day, and you're betting on variance. I mean, anything can happen in these games. You think you got a good bet on a team, and the quarterback gets hurt, and now your bet's done. So there's no guarantees.
That was the USC bowl game this past year. That kid Slovis was throwing dimes. He gets hurt, and it was a done deal.
It changes the whole dynamics of the rest of the game.
What do you think of those guys? I'm not saying cheapen what you do, but it tries to almost, everyone knows that these guys are talking a bunch of crap. But you have your own website, PhillyGodfather.com, where you give out your picks.
We don't call them picks. We call them moves. And the reason is our information moves the market, okay? So, and we back every wager we release. We actually bet the game ourselves, or else we don't give it to our customers. So if I don't have a vested interest in what I'm giving my clients or my members, it's not a good business model.
But these people, they're telling you they every day they're 15-0.
They're marketers.
Yeah, but doesn't, when you, who's like a real guy, you say, hey, this is what my win percentage is. The people who know that guy's bullshit may think you are. I know you're not.
Yeah, but that's why we give out so much free information. That's why I give out so many free futures that I've hit over the years. So if you just go to my website or my Twitter account, you'll see all the futures I've given out over the years ahead of time. I did a video back in November. I gave out the Dayton Flyers at 100-1 to everyone for free.
Yeah, you told me that.
Well, I think they're down to 10-1 right now.
And
so that's a hell of a bet.
They're ranked third in the country.
They're the fourth or fifth. And they got 2 losses on the year. Both games went into overtime.
Yeah.
So there's so much transparency with us. And are there going to be days we win 9 out of 10? Yeah. Are there going to be days that we lose 9 out of 10? Very possibility. But at the end of the day, at the end of the year, we do so much research that we expect to win. Now, the break-even point when you're risking 110 to win 100 is 52.4%. So if you can do better than 52.4%,
well, hold on, I have to interrupt you real quick. Our man Joe Sanlaquita is watching. Joe, you got a question for the Godfather or the 8 Ball or the college kid or?
We got Piggy here too, Joe. We got Piggy here.
Does Joe know him too?
Yeah, we were down Super Bowl together.
Okay, there you go. So you mentioned the futures. Talk about what that does. I mean, a lot of people think it's just a point spread or a money line bet. Talk about a lot of the different.
I'll give you an example. I bet the 49ers at the beginning of the year at 28-1.
Yeah, you told me that.
To win the Super Bowl
in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gave it out everywhere: TV, radio, on Twitter. I wasn't hiding it. The reason why I bet it is because I love Shanahan, great offensive mind. We saw what we did with the Falcons. When he left that team, we saw that team drop off dramatically. And then early in the year, I was reading about them spending $92 million on defense, right around 42% of their cap space. So I knew their defense was going to be upgraded. You were getting a team that was 4-12 last year, and now you're getting 28-1 odds on them. And I looked at the schedule early, and I said to myself, this team can very well start off 3-0 or 4-0. And as we all know, if you start off 3-0 in the NFL, I think you make the playoffs 75% of the time. So everything clicked. Now, did I think they were going to get to the Super Bowl? Not really. Did I think they're going to go deep in the playoffs? Absolutely. So I thought it was a great value bet. And to me, a great value bet is like a great poker hand. You got options. And that's what I thought I had, where I could maybe hedge later on in the playoffs, or like I did eventually in the Super Bowl against Kansas City, and make myself some free money.
Talk about some of the. He mentioned the player, the over is Kawhi Leonard going to go over 25.5. Those kind of games. I have a friend of mine who I won't name him. He likes to bet like these kind of parlays where the player gets his 25 points and the team wins, just stuff like that. You get involved in stuff, those kind of bets?
Nah, we don't do those.
No,
not those parlays.
Why not?
Parlay, listen, you got to hit. I mean, you're betting a 2-team, 3-teamer. They're a lot harder to hit.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting the best of the number on each and every, game that you're betting, like we used to go to Delaware Park, and they used to print on parlay tickets on Wednesday. Well, by Sunday, they didn't move their lines. So some of those games had moved 3 or 4 points.
Yeah.
So we were getting the best of them. We were stealing 20 cents on each point. So
Exactly.
we were stealing money down there. So then you can bet 2 and 3 teams. But if you're not getting that much value on these parlays, it's not worth betting because the math is against you. And long term, you can't beat the bookmaker. We're not looking to bet just to bet. We're looking to bet because we have an edge. And if we don't have an edge, we're not going to fire.
If there's say 40 games a night, no, between college and the NBA, just whatever.
73 tonight.
Okay, 73. How many are you going to be involved in?
Last night I bet 3 games. I went 2-1.
3 out of like 20, right?
A bunch, yeah. It all depends on how many games we think we have an edge on. It all depends on how much time we had to handicap, a bunch of games, who we talked to that day, if we're piggybacking any information, because there's a lot of all the sharp guys out there that we have contacts with, whether they're out in Vegas, whether they're in Costa Rica, all around the world, that we respect them. We know they win long term, so we might handicap 10 games a night, and we get some information that they're on another 6 games. Well, we're going to piggyback that information. We're going to give it to our clients because we know these guys win long term, and we're going to make some money.
So anyway, I think I interrupted you. So it starts at 10 o'clock the night before. Take me through whatever it takes to get to 7 o'clock the next night.
Well, I have a good idea before the lines even come out what they're going to be roughly. So I'm already getting a head start on that. I go through the efficiency stats, offense, defense. The most important thing for me is looking at totals. They're more profitable in my opinion. So I'm looking at pace of play. That's the most important. How fast are these teams running? The more shot attempts I get, the better chance I have of cashing that over or under.
So, for instance, you say you have like your own lines, for instance. So suppose that job became available in Las Vegas as the line setter, and they came to you. I mean, that's a job that you feel that you know what the line should be, and
it doesn't pay much.
I'm not saying it does.
There's no money in it.
I'm not saying it does or doesn't.
But listen, I'm going to be honest. Any monkey can make a line on a game. They got computer programs, they got websites now. You can punch in the teams, tell you what the line is. The genius in this business is not coming out with the line. It's knowing where that line's headed. Because if you can beat the number, you can beat the move, get ahead of the market, you're going to make money long term. That's the genius. Coming up with a line, it's irrelevant to me. I don't care what a line is on any game. I want to beat the move.
In 20 minutes, you're going to give me one pick tonight.
Right.
So right before the 7 o'clock tip, and this is unbelievable. You see, they got the computer. They're working all the way up to the opening tip off. Is there a sport that you're more comfortable with? And it's for both of you.
I like the NBA. I think the NBA is the best in terms of volume, but I can do baseball, college basketball, NFL. College football, it's not really my thing.
College football's not?
Nah.
Why not?
It's tougher in my opinion. There's thousands of teams, hundreds of teams. It's just not something I'm great at, so I choose to attack the other sports instead.
There's only so many hours in a day, Mark.
Well, it seems like they're awake.
Plus, they're so zoned in the NFL with each team week to week that they tell me sometimes they feel like they're in the locker room. They know exactly what's going on. They know the pulse of each and every team, and that's a good thing. And sometimes if you spread yourself a little too thin and try and do too many things, it ends up hurting you. Hurts your pocket.
What's yours as sport?
I love the NFL. I love March Madness. I love college basketball. I'm having a pretty good college basketball season. I'm up right around 56 positions on the year, so that's really good.
Explain that. What's that mean? 56 positions.
I've won 56 more games than I've lost. $100 sports better right now at this point in time. If he bet every college basketball game I released, he'd be up $5,600. Now that's not always the case. 3 years ago, I had a losing season. Thank God, I think I've won 6 out of my last 7 years. So March Madness, we usually kill it because we spend so much time, and it's a different type of animal. Handicapping March Madness is a lot different.
It's right here on my notes.
I'm sorry. Handicapping March Madness is a lot different than handicapping the regular season. We always we're a bunch of boxing guys. I've been fighting since I was 10 years old. You've been boxing your whole life. In boxing, they say styles make fights, and the same holds true for March Madness. So, maybe you beat this team 2 weeks ago, and this team beat that team. Now we got to play each other, and that's a totally different ballgame, just like boxing.
Now, with you're saying the quick turnaround, whether it's your conference tournament where they're playing maybe 3-4 straight days, or the NCAA tournament where they're playing Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday. How does that, because like I said, you're trying to get the information, but the information might not even be processed in time for you to.
Coaching is so big. That's why you see these coaches. The cream will always rise to the top towards the end of the March Madness, Sweet 16, Elite 8, and you always see the best coaches. Somehow they always find a way to get there, and that's because they can get those teams up, motivated, turned around quickly to know who they're playing, know what they're looking for against certain teams, what type of style basketball they got to play against Team A, where if they play Team B, they got to play a different style basketball.
If anyone out there has any questions for the Godfather or the I just keep forgetting your name, but I look at your. I asked him, what age did you start getting into this?
Probably around 15, 16, and then as you get older, you get more information. I watch him do everything, and I just learn side by side.
And I'm going to be honest. When it comes to the NBA, both of these guys are much better than I am. I'm just being honest.
Well, let me ask you. Obviously, this is a younger man's world. I'm not saying you're an old guy, but these guys that are on their computers probably all day, because that's the way it is. Yeah. How much of a help has that been for you, knowing that they're on their computer, they're scouring the internet? I know you do it too. But
it's tremendous because you get older, you get burnt out, and it's a lot easier for me to say, okay, what's the pace of these two teams? What's their effective height ratio? How good are they against the three-point shot?
What the F is effective height?
There's so many things we look at. So, and they can just spit it out to me. They're done. Boom, boom, boom. It's like almost instant the way they give me the information.
How many numbers on a regular college basketball game are you?
There's a bunch of them.
And you're breaking down every game.
We try to break as many as we can. I mean, like I said, there's a ton of games. I can't handicap each and every game, but there's certain games that you look at, certain lines that stick out. Sometimes the line's telling you something. So when the line's telling you something, you start digging into that game a little deeper.
I mean, like the SWAC games, Grambling again. I mean, is there a way to make money?
Well, the smaller schools, the smaller schools is definitely. I think we do better with the smaller schools. The bigger schools, a little tougher. But listen, if I can pitch quarters and I think I got an edge, I'm going to fire. It doesn't matter what we're gambling on. It's all about identifying an edge. And if I think I got the best of it, the best of the number, I'm going to invest.
So, I'm just looking at my notes here. So we got the point spread, money lines, totals, parlays, futures. What do you like best?
I like making money, Mark. It don't matter.
I'm just saying.
I don't have an ego. I don't have.
That guy at the bar, he likes making money too.
Yeah, but I'm simple. Like I don't. It's not like, okay, I like betting totals more than I like betting sides. Well, if there's no edge on any totals tonight, I'm not going to bet a total.
Yeah.
So that's the bottom line. I'm about making some cash.
Now, over the last couple of weeks, this is what really got me scratching my head about you a little bit. We were talking on the phone. You're like, I'll call you back. I got to get some money on this XFL game. Now, how in week one are you able to handicap teams that you've never seen before, that no one's ever seen before?
Now you're trying to get me to give away my edge.
No. Okay, no.
Listen, you just got to read. You got to watch the practices. You got to know who the coaches are. You got to be able to put a number on the quarterbacks. Listen, I'm 6-1. I got a loss. I'm not perfect in the XFL.
Well, you bet 100. You bet 100 up $490. $500.
So I mean, listen, I could lose my next 5 games. I mean, I could be wrong, but so far it started out the right way, and it's a lot of reading involved. You know that.
So I mean, is it as simple as just reading stuff on the? I mean, because not even that much stuff is out there on the XFL.
There's a lot out there. You just got to find it. You got to dig through the internet. And that's what these guys are so good at. They find everything.
Talk to me about the XFL. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I need more of a sample size to do that.
See?
He's the king of the XFL right now.
Well, we got Piggy over there who's been killing the XFL. What, you had a couple parlays this weekend?
So, you actually told me, we were on the phone the other night, we were talking about some different things. You told me it's the best officiating in football.
Yeah, I don't think they've made a bad call yet. They're real transparent. Now, I know the ratings are down a little bit, but if the NFL can do that, if the XFL can do that good of a job, well, then what's the NFL's problem? That's what I'm thinking. Like, what's going on there? Something fishy's going on. The XFL with the limited finances and the limited experience, and they're getting every call right. Why can't the NFL do that? Boggles my mind.
One of our guests, Joe Hand, just walk in. We'll bring him on in about 5 or 10 minutes.
I want to get Piggy on real quick. Is that cool, Paul? Piggy, come on. He's one of the best in-game sports bettors in the world. He worked with some of the sharpest guys in Vegas.
We'll ask him some questions as the 8-ball almost took care of our.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. So to talk to me, Piggy, in-game betting. How do you break it down?
Basically, in-game betting, the strength is to know what teams are playing each other and finding out the philosophy of the coaches before the game starts. That's where you start your foundation.
Okay.
Does a running team want to just run the ball against a team that's going to put 9 guys against the line of scrimmage? And if they put nine guys at the line of scrimmage and you look at the first quarter and you see the team is doing short passes and running through them, and they don't have the ability to stop them even though they're putting a 9-man front, you're looking for situations, especially in college football, for teams that the offensive line dominates the defensive line.
So after the first quarter, is it the first quarter, the first half?
It's usually a feel, especially teams that are playing each other for the first time, maybe Penn State will be playing Oklahoma State or something, so you don't really know how they match. You don't know how they match up. So you know how Penn State plays. You know how Oklahoma State plays. And then you visualize in your mind what is happening here. Where is this game going? You have to go into a time capsule and look into the future and just see. I've been lucky that I've been doing this for 35 years, and that's always been a strength of mine, is to see something, not before the game, but during the game, be able to evaluate what's going on and formulate an opinion what's going to happen past that stage.
I'll give you guys a perfect example. We were down at the Oceans during college football season. Washington was playing Stanford, and Stanford was a big underdog, double-digit underdog, I think it was. And they come out, and Stanford's just moving the ball. And I look at Piggy, and he looks at me, and we ran right to the window after halfway through the first quarter, and we took Stanford plus 400 in game. And they ended up coming, and they just moved the ball the whole game, and you knew that Washington couldn't stop them. And they went out, and they won the game outright.
So you're opposite. We've seen some sports gamblers, and these people well. They don't even watch the game. They make their play. They shop their lines. They make their play, and that's it. You're the direct opposite. You want to see what's going on first before you make your play.
I want to be very analytical in what goes on early, and I also want to be very analytical, which I feel is going to go on late. There's coaches for TCU, a guy named Patterson, who's had a history of winning 52-0 in his third quarter, and the guy won't stop. And there's other coaches that will be comfortable with their large margin, and even though they're a passing team, they'll start establishing time of possession.
They'll pump the brakes.
They'll start running the ball, short passes, Bill Belichick style. Work the ball down the field methodically, take 7 minutes off the clock, kick a field goal, score a touchdown, tire out the defense, and keep their offense off the field.
Yeah, I guess the one thing that you're kind of maybe rooting against, because you see how a game flow is that turnover that kind of
momentum
screws everything up.
Well, you're also trying to identify the aberrations in the game. Now, if an underdog's winning, okay, say at halftime 17-10 over a big favorite, but the big favorite turned the ball over 4 times. Well, we know that's not going to happen in the second half.
Yeah.
So you're getting a great price on the favorite, even though they're down 17-10. You know they're going to come storming back. So you're looking for aberrations, anomalies in the game that will help you in a predictive way, along with the in-game betting. That also helps in the second half. You look at total yardage, you look at turnovers, you look at penalties, you look at long passing plays of 80 or 90 yards. Say a team threw 2 big bombs in the first half. Now you know that's not going to happen again on some amazing catches. It's just hard to repeat that. and that helps you in a predictive way. Skewed statistics are a sports bettor's best friend.
Yeah, and I know you have like I don't want to call it a syndicate, but you have like a team, like you said. These two guys, he's part
there's
of your
a bunch
team.
of us, yeah,
You know
there's
what
a
I'm
bunch
saying.
of us.
So, is that like your point of expertise, the in-game stuff?
It's the best.
I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
I lived in Vegas for 30 years, and I work for the sharpest handicappers in the business.
Yeah.
Billy Walters, Stevie Z,
Billy Baxter.
Billy Baxter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started when I was 20 years old. Now I'm 54. And when I went out there, I was a greenhorn.
Yeah.
But I sat with the wise guys, the sharp guys. I just watched what they do, how they bet, how to learn how to lose a game,
Yeah.
turn the page, and not go from betting 200 to 2,000.
Yeah.
Chase.
Chasing. Everything's about, mathematics in this business.
Money management. You got to be able to, have willpower.
1% of people win.
I mean, I know back in the day when people would, be betting through their neighborhood guy, Monday night was always just crazy.
Monday night bailout.
Monday night bailout. Yeah, everybody was talking after Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah,
Well, back then everyone bet favorites and overs.
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Everyone bet with their heart. They bet their local teams. They bet on recency bias, what they saw last week. They never knew what the injuries were. They never knew, what travel did to teams, what weather did to teams. But now there's a lot more information out there. So I think the average sports bettor has become much more educated and is a little sharper than they were.
And there are like a lot of other sports, such as soccer, the XFL, just sports that most people don't have much a feel of what's going on.
I mean, I'm on my app and they got all the tennis, the European basketball, European
soccer teams are 600 teams.
Yeah.
And there's, like Liverpool played today against Chelsea.
Were you in on that?
I was in that. I took Chelsea plus $1.70 just for the mere fact that Liverpool is like 18 points above on the EPL. Now they're playing like in the UEFA. Yeah, UEFA, and they just want to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And wait till the games matter. Liverpool's obviously the best team in the country. And like today, you were getting plus 170 on a decent team. Chelsea hasn't been playing that well lately. But it seemed like they were motivated to give Liverpool a little run for their money today. And taking $1.70 against a team that's been playing very lackadaisical lately and just trying to stay healthy.
Who won?
Chelsea won the game 2-0.
So
I cashed on that ticket, yes.
That's
But there's a spot you look for. You look for situations where
Well, that's why I always said, you're not betting on teams, you're betting on situations.
100%.
To me, that's it. We talk about you talk about Michigan State. They just came off a very emotional win the other night at Maryland. Has to be a come down tonight. You just stuff like
I
that.
just can't see them performing at an optimum level. Now they might win, they might cover.
Yeah.
But I think you got a little bit of an edge, especially a home dog getting 3. The line opened up a pick 'em and moved 3 points.
And Penn State's a good team on top of that.
And they've beaten a lot of good top 25, top 50 teams. And they've been underperforming a little bit lately. So you might find some value there.
And they're playing for respect as well. And, Michigan
This is
State,
their Super Bowl.
Michigan State was the number 1 team in the country preseason, and they get a win over that. They're looking for top 4 seed possible. And I mean
It's
that's
not easy playing at Penn State. Man.
No. So where can we find you at in terms of social media or anything that you're doing, making your picks or whatever?
I am on the PhillyGodfather.com.
Okay.
I am the Philly Pig 4280.
At Piggy 4280.
At 4280.
Gives out a lot of free information. You can check them out all the time.
So we're just trying to make these people money out of it. That's all we're trying to do.
It makes me proud because I'll be honest with you, I can't fix a flat tire. I don't want to do my wash. I can't, go shopping and know what I need for the house.
But he
But
gets
I've
your
been
place
doing this for
away.
30 years,
Yeah.
and I've been winning at it constantly for 30 years. I haven't had a paycheck for 30 years.
That's
My
unbelievable.
paycheck is my income from gambling,
Okay.
so I can't futz around.
There you go.
So if I do that, that's a problem.
Great stuff. So I thank you for coming on.
My pleasure, sir.
We're going to get our next guest
Joe
on.
Han on.
Okay.
We'll get Joe Han Jr. on, see if we can bring him in on here. We're going to talk a little boxing, a little UFC, some pay-per-view kind of stuff, and kind of promote everything that's going on here. We're here with a guy with him and his father. They're in my book, they're legends, and I've known them my whole life through my father and everything like that. And the Godfathers of pay-per-view and closed circuit, Joe Hand Promotions. Joe, thank you for coming.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
We're a couple weeks removed from a big fight, and we're going to talk a little boxing here. The Wilder Fury. I know you were out there. Talk about you was a long-time boxing guy. Talk about what you saw out there.
Well, first of all, I was very surprised at how the crowd was really more pro for Tyson Fury. I would say that 80-90% of the building seemed like they were cheering for him, and I was kind of surprised by that. I was really expecting a little bit more of a competitive fight than it turned out to be.
Yeah.
But on the plane ride home, there was a picture on one of the websites that I saw, and what really caught my eye was just how much bigger Tyson Fury was than Wilder. And Wilder's not like a small guy,
6'7", 230 pounds.
Yeah.
His reach is like a 2x4.
Exactly.
I mean, think about it, how long his reach
85
is.
inches. It's unbelievable. And so he really just dominated him with his size. And, I hear I'm not a trainer and surely don't ever want to be one, but, I hear trainers say to fighters, fight behind the jab. And that's really what he did. He just put that jab out there, and Deontay Wilder was just backing up the whole fight. So when you do that, he never got any leverage to throw any really big punches to hurt Fury. So it was a great fight. I enjoyed it. I think Tyson Fury is great for the sport. I think he's a showman. I think he's an entertainer. I love that all about, the whole package.
Talk about, you and your dad, you guys have been involved in just about every major fight for the last half century. I mean, it is, they were comparing this fight to Ali Frazier, and your dad was one of the managers of Joe Frazier at the time. Talk about, where the sport is in terms of, because of that fight, because of all the, we were talking about college basketball. You couldn't miss it. You couldn't watch a basketball game on ESPN or Fox without seeing Wilder Fury this Saturday in the corner. Talk about what that did for the sport.
So I have to tell you that I have really never been more excited and pro about combat sports than I am right now. Years ago, people said when UFC came into the boxing world, and it was going to get rid of boxing. All it did, in my opinion, was make people in boxing start to get better at their sport, pay attention to it, put better fights on. The interesting thing that I think is happening right now is there's this sort of shift going on to the networks like Fox and ESPN getting behind these events. And when you see the amount of promotion and things like that they could do, for instance, they were running ads in the Super Bowl. They had 100 million people 4 times watch that ad that ran it. That never happened before in the sport. So, when you look at Fox and all that they can do on their network and all that ESPN can do, the firepower and the marketing is just incredible. And that's great for the sport. It'll build the sport, it'll build interest in the sport, and I think it's really just, it's a great thing. I just really think boxing right now is like kind of starting, I've been in it with 40 years with my dad 50 years. It goes through peaks and valleys. I feel like we're coming out of a valley right now, and we're coming to a really good long run. And Tyson Fury can be the guy that leads it. I mean, he's so likable.
And he can sing.
Yeah, and he can sing. How about it? I think we ought to do this when we do the pay-per-views. You pay so much for the fight, and then you shut it down and you go, do you want to hear him sing? We're going to pay a little bit more.
Talk about, you're like in the trenches because your businesses, you're selling the fights to the establishments, the bars, and actually that's why I wanted you to, as my first guest, because we're doing it at a place where you guys have done awesome business with the Fox and Hound chain throughout the country. When those bar owners were calling you up talking about Tyson, was it a different vibe?
Oh, first of all, Fox and Hounds is one of my best customers in the country. They do all their locations. They do every UFC, every boxing event. So if you want to come watch a fight some night, this is the place to come watch it. We ended up on this particular fight. This was the biggest boxing event we had done since like the Lennox Lewis and Tyson fight around, I think, 2002 or something like that. We ended up, after this event was over, I had just done 5,500 bars for the McGregor fight in January. This fight generated 500 new bars that had not been doing any combat sports with us, and that's how many people came out of it. And afterwards, it was
Do you
everybody.
think that's because it was the heavyweight division?
Yes.
Because that always has more allure to it, right?
Yes, and as much as like there's some definitely those 5,500 bars that we're watching McGregor. Certainly a bunch of them. This place, Buffalo Wild Wings, a lot of the chains, they'll do boxing too. But like, let's take Buffalo Wild Wings for an example. When the boxing event comes along, they were typically doing about 100 locations nationwide. On an MMA fight, UFC, they do somewhere near 1,100. There are 1,000 more bars for MMA than that.
Wow.
They did 750 bars for the Tyson Fury fight.
What do you attribute the 1,100 to 100?
It's the promotion. They knew it. Everybody was talking about it. It got the casual fan out there talking. You know, my wife was coming home and she's like, "Hey, I saw the ads." I'm like, she never asked me about the fights. You know, it just doesn't matter to her. She goes, "How about that Tyson Fury guy?" And I'm like, having dinner with her, like, I'll never have these conversations, you know, about the fight. So it brought in the casual fan is what I think it ended up doing, and that's why I think there was so much interest in it. And listen, 850,000 buys, that's a really good number. 850,000 buys, that's just the U.S.
Yes.
Who knows what they did in the U.K., all the foreign sales. I mean, this fight was a huge success.
I mean, obviously they announced, not officially, but Bob Arum said looks like July 18th,
Yeah.
the third fight. You expect the same outpouring towards what you guys do and the rest of the country in terms of for the next fight?
So this is just me, and I don't have any inside information.
Yeah.
I think that the rematch is going to happen. I'm a little skeptical about July date. I think it might happen later in the summer and maybe early
Yeah.
fall. That's just my feeling.
It's a tough time to throw a fight, isn't it?
It is. Summertime.
Especially in Vegas.
And vacations, people are really distracted. You know, they're not in a routine with like we are now with school, with our families, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a hard time to do a fight. I don't think you could go back through history and find a lot of really mega fights that happened in the summer. They're in the fall. They're in the early part of the
Cinco de
year.
Mayo.
Yeah, exactly. May is always really big. So I think the next fight will probably do good business, but I'm not sure it's going to do what this one just did. And that really has to do with just how much he dominated the fight. And a lot of people think that he won the first fight too.
Yeah.
I felt like he won the first fight.
I thought so too.
This Saturday night, you have a big fight coming up with the UFC. You guys have been unbelievable. I mean, I first started watching UFC because of you guys.
Okay.
Because I was a boxing guy, and early on I was like, you're either a boxing guy or UFC guy. And I start coming down here. I talked to your dad. I'm hooked on it. And talk about the UFC, the evolution over the years, and the stars. They went from Chuck Liddell and Conor McGregor and Khabib, and talk about the evolution. Anyone who knows about that's you.
So, listen, in 2001, Bernie Dillon, a dear friend of mine from down in Atlantic City, called me and said, I have these guys, Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta. They bought this thing called, the UFC. Do you know it? And I did. I knew the guy that was selling it. And he said they paid $4 million, and I went, they paid how much? $4 million. I thought they overpaid for it. It was like buying the Titanic as far as I was concerned. But he said they're really looking for some commercial distribution. So I'd like to let you think that I was really smart and I knew this thing was going to get big, but I did it really as a favor. So we did it for just a couple years, and then before you know it, they ended up getting that deal with Spike TV, and Forrest Griffin and Tito Ortiz was in that great fight.
Yeah.
You know what else helped out? One of my good friends, Joey Odessa, he was the first one to put odds out on the UFC fights. So when those odds eventually hit Vegas, and you could actually watch the fights and bet on them,
And you cared.
that's when you saw the spike, along with the Spike TV, and you saw the numbers start going up. Because people, whatever it is, whether they want to bet $10, they want to invest in interest, they want to choose someone in, and now it's become fully accepted. I mean, it's legal around the country. So, but that's when I first saw a spike in UFC, and I said, you know what, these guys might make it.
And the Fertitta brothers are really, really smart people. Their family's involved in the casino business, and they are very, very conscious the whole time I was with them, very, very conscious of the fan experience. They wanted to make sure the fan is taken care of. And I'll give you an example. There was an event they did that was in Houston. Houston is one of our biggest markets. I can sell maybe 200, 250 bars just in Houston, okay? The fights there, they got to black out the marketplace. So I said to Lorenzo, when I met him, I said, a lot of the bar owners were, a little upset that they couldn't buy the fight. He goes, how many bars are there? I said, there's probably about 200, maybe 225 bars that got shut out. I want you to do me a favor. I said, okay. He says, call them up and offer them each 4 tickets to the fight. I said, no, Lorenzo, I said there was 200 to 225 bars. He goes, I know what you said.
So it's 1,000 tickets.
And they came to the fight. They sat ringside. Lorenzo went over and thanked them all for coming. He made the fighters go, and I thought to myself, these guys are different.
Great businessmen.
They're great businessmen. So it's been a great relationship. It's hot. It's as hot as ever. It's no different. It's always name driven. You know, McGregor's always really good. He's perfect when he's fighting. John Jones. They got stars coming on. Khabib. All these guys that are out there now.
Joe, if you could just move over a little bit, my producer, director wife, she's watching on the Facebook. So
Okay.
So it's Conor McGregor. So you mentioned Conor McGregor.
Right.
I mean, what's a Conor McGregor fight compared to maybe a fight this Saturday night with Adesanya and Romero, two great fighters, but Conor McGregor takes what you're probably getting a lot more calls when he's in.
When Conor McGregor fights, it's just there's Conor McGregor fights and then there's the rest of the UFC. I would tell you that Conor McGregor fights are probably about 40% bigger. And it's just that everybody wants to watch him fight. And listen, like his last fight, he was coming off of like 2 losses. I mean, it isn't there, but he's such a personality. He's doing really great with his proper 12 whiskey.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
They were the main sponsor for the fight.
I thought that was a great move.
Fight.
I thought that was a great move on their part.
So, I mean, obviously you're following. So, you want to see the rematch with Khabib?
I do want to see the rematch with Khabib. I think Khabib will win because I just think Khabib.
He's a monster.
I don't think so either. But I'd love to see it because everybody will want to watch it, and that'd be good for business.
I think Ferguson gives him a fight, though. He's a real awkward guy, Ferguson. I think he's going to give him a fight.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think McGregor's got a little bit of time left, and he's got to try to maybe make as much as he can, and then go back to the proper 12 whiskey and ride into the sunset.
He's got the rematch. The fight I actually want to see him fight is with Covington. What a promotion that would be.
Yeah, I think that would be another great fight that fans would really like to see.
I got a question for you, Joe. How do you think he would do in boxing? Because he's a pretty good boxer.
Yeah, I think look, when he fought Mayweather, I think he fought better than people thought he was going to fight. I didn't think he was going to win, but I'd like to see him maybe get into the boxing and see. And I wouldn't rule out him doing something crazy like a Pacquiao-McGregor fight or something like that, right?
Wow, what are the numbers on that?
And it's name driven, right? That's this business. I remember years ago we did Sugar Ray Leonard against Hector Camacho. Both of those guys were way over.
I was at that fight.
It was Atlantic City. Bernie Dillon had done it, and I said to myself, I don't think this fight's going to do any business. It was great, and it was again because people know the names.
Talk about, and like I said, your business had started first closed circuit. You go to the arenas and watch it, and now the bars. To talk about the difference and the evolution of that.
So what's going on right now, and this is really why I'm so excited about our business, is that if you take a look at the timeline of our 50 years in the business, anytime there was a change in the industry, it was around technology. Mm-hmm. Years ago, when my dad and I were doing the fights at the old Spectrum, if anybody's watching and remembers that.
I remember going with my dad.
Yep. We brought the signal in over the telephone lines.
I was at a Hangler.
There you go. You bought one of our tickets, and if it wasn't the telephone lines, then it went to those big C-band black dishes. Remember them sitting on the top of the bars and everything? And then somebody says, listen, they got these small dishes like they're pizza pie size. You can put them on the ledge of your apartment window, and I'm going, I can't believe it. Next thing you know, that's DirecTV. Well, the new thing that's coming out now is streaming. With streaming, what's going to happen is that it is just going to make available to me so many different content partners. And it's going to, you'll be able to pick it up on your phone. You'll be able to watch it on your laptop and your computer. That's what makes it.
You guys are involved with DAZN now, aren't you?
We do some work with DAZN every once in a while too, and they're good. Love the guys from ESPN Plus. That's really exciting. They've got some great content too. And again, that's what really helps us as a distributor is that there's a lot of content out there. Last weekend there was this is a product I got to get my hands on it, but I'm just like this close. The Bengal bouts from Notre Dame University. Did you ever hear about them? The students fight in the fights at the school.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard
it's
of
like
this.
a Golden Gloves, and they sell out the basketball arena.
Wow.
And the students fighting it, and they got 400 like locations around the country that watch it, that are alumni clubs and everything like that. So, I get excited about the business, and technology is what really drives it for us. That's for sure.
Where do you see it go? I mean, where do you see it going? I mean, we got the streaming. I mean, do you think that's right now for the next handful of years?
It's everywhere.
Look at us tonight. I mean, we're doing it right now, right? Look how this is such an easy thing to do. And while I'm saying it's easy, I'm sure you guys had a lot of hard work into it. But look how quick you can get up and you can get to the customer and get out and reach people and touch them. I think the sky's the limit. I have no idea where this is all going to kind of stop, but that's okay. I'm just going to kind of see where it takes us and see what kind of content. Listen, years ago we used to kind of be a one-trick pony. We would do boxing, then we did boxing, then we did UFC. So now I do boxing, UFC, PGA golf, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, WWE Wrestling.
I love wrestling.
I mean, it's endless. Anytime there's something that we think the public would like to buy, we're going to try to get our hands on it and sell it.
What do you think about? There's a new combat sport out there, the bare knuckles. What do you think about that?
So the bare knuckles.
There's a market for it?
So we tried it, and I know David Feldman really well. I think David's going to be a success with it. What I think it is right now is that he has to develop an appeal in the marketplace for it. It's probably doing decently on the consumer side, but I need it to get a little bit bigger so that commercially, somebody like this place would show us. Yes,
and
they
maybe,
just don't know it yet.
And maybe, like everything else, star-driven. Maybe he gets a star, a McGregor type or whatever. Then the limit.
Problem is, there's so many stars in boxing and UFC, and by the time they get a name, he's kind of towards the end of his career.
Yes.
So that's the only issue I see with it. But the fights are exciting. They're a little messy. I don't know how dangerous it is. Different doctors have different opinions on it, but it's very entertaining.
Yeah, I think if they could find themselves a young superstar, some kid with a personality that's like an influencer or in social media, that kind of thing, I think that would be something that would really help propel that.
Maybe he should go after the Logan Pauls and these guys or something. They look like they're willing to fight. So.
Listen, the UFC, the first 3 or 4 years that I did work with them, I did 50 bars a show, and they only did it like 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah.
And now, like I told you, we did 5,500. I mean, it takes time. It takes years to do it.
Absolutely, and everyone should definitely come down here Saturday night. Yoel Romero against Adesanya, and Joe Hand. Anything you want to say in closing in terms of what you guys are up to, everything else?
No, look, I appreciate you having me on the show.
It's an honor for us.
Well, I love coming around and talking about our industry, and I appreciate you guys giving me the platform. One of the things I thought about on the way down, I was coming here, is that I kind of feel like Philly boxing is like on the rise too.
Yeah.
Michelle Rosado's doing some great stuff in South Philly. We're doing shows up in parks. Manny's doing show at the Met. I mean, I think the fact that there's so many good shows here in Philly is really a great thing. And I don't know, sometimes there's this I think misconception that you kind of root against the other guy.
No, not at all.
I want Michelle to be as successful.
Absolutely.
She just signed a new TV contract. I think that's awesome. I know Manny's doing great things at the Met, and our shows up at parks are really good.
Yeah,
so
Some great fighters too in the city right now. And there's one fighter who I think could be the next Floyd Mayweather, which is Stephen Fulton Jr.
Stephen Fulton Jr.
He's come a long way. I mean, he's incredible. He's articulate. He's smart. He's a handsome young kid, and he can box.
So April the 4th is our next boxing event. It's the Pennsylvania Golden Gloves.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling people, listen, if you can get out to the 2300 Arena that night, come, because Stephen Fulton fought in our Golden Gloves here. So did a lot of other young guys that went through the round, and you get to see the next, superstar that's coming along.
That's why I'm going here. I want you to promote.
Yeah, so it's a fun night. It's a great night to bring your kids, and it's a good family night. There's a lot of young kids there, but then there's really the kids in the open class that you watch them there, and then 2 years, 3 years later, Stephen Fulton, is a superstar.
A couple of times.
To come. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joe.
Guys, thanks for having me. This is great.
I appreciate
invite me
you come
back
down
next time. All right.
Anytime.
All
I want you and your dad.
Yeah,
next
he's
time.
down in Florida, and he said to say hello. I told him I was coming on here with you, and he's.
Let me guess.
We go back a long time, right?
Time.
Yeah, with your dad and all.
Yeah, let me guess. He's at spring training.
Yes.
Yeah, I figured that.
He's working on hitting a curveball down there.
Him and his dad are two of the biggest Phillies fans you'll ever meet. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it again.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. The great Joe Hand Jr., who's they've seen and done it all in the world of combat sports with boxing and MMA, promoting, doing the closed circuit, and everything else that they've done. They're wonderful people with the gyms and
Yeah, I boxed at his gym for years. I mean, it was the best gym in the city. I got to be honest. I boxed at every gym growing up, and you go to these gyms, they're a little dirty, a little grimy, a little sweaty, but Joe always had his place immaculate, always had the best equipment, and it was a great location for years. It was real convenient, and you met so many people down there.
I met you.
Yeah, I met you down there. Guys like Brian McCaffrey. I mean, I worked with guys like Jesse Hart. I worked with so many fighters throughout the years down there. And the last guy I worked with was Stephen Fulton Jr. Helped him win the IBO, and now he's on his way with my good friend Wahid Rahim. So boxing is great. It's great for the kids. It's great for the neighborhoods. Keeps kids off the street. People don't realize how good boxing gyms are for the city and for the neighborhood.
Absolutely, my man Jim Kurtz. Speaking of Clearwater, Jim's good guy. He's a big casino host down in Atlantic City. He's a wonderful guy. Just brought his kids down to spring training for a week. So, Jim, if you got any comments,
if you want to bet the over 84 wins on the Phillies, I think you'll cash a ticket this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not going to say much about it. I wasn't supposed to give it out.
I like that.
But I slipped it on the show. I'm not giving it out on Twitter or anywhere else. So.
By the way, 12-9 Penn State early. It's early though.
It's early.
It's early though.
It's a good start.
It is a good start. So I don't know. We'll bring one of the guys back. We'll talk a little NBA.
Talk to college kids.
Bring them back. We'll talk a little NBA. We'll talk a little just some of the other sports that maybe not so much attributed to point spreads and odds. But you say you're a big NBA guy, huh?
Yeah, we're huge on NBA.
So I mean, let's take all the family business out of it, like the spreads. What do you like going down the stretch? You see Milwaukee and LA?
Well, originally we had a future on the Sixers. Now they've been struggling on the road, and now Embiid and Simmons are out, which are obviously huge in terms of seeding and everything else. And we really love the Sixers because they were the perfect matchup for the Bucks. Giannis would have trouble with Embiid and Horford down there, and then you have Simmons on top of it, another 7-footer. So it was a perfect matchup for the Bucks. Now that they're not in there, not going to have the right seeding without Embiid and Simmons.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. The Bucks are really, really good. They have the best point differential in all of basketball. They're really good.
I think they're beating teams by an average of 12.5 points. I think it's amazing how good they are. They're just tough to beat.
Out west, so we look in the Lakers, Clippers. That we're going to see. You think?
I actually don't like the Lakers as much as I like the Clippers, and we also have had a move on the Nuggets to win the championship. At the value given, we got them plus 2,500 and plus 2,000. And the Nuggets, they're one of the deepest teams in basketball, maybe the deepest. And to us, we think they have the best shot, other than the Clippers, to give the Lakers a fight.
Okay, you mentioned March Madness. You mentioned Dayton. What other teams should we look for over the next month that are going to make a lot of damage?
A dark horse is San Diego State. They're really good, and we have them ranked about 6-5 in the whole nation, whole country this year. And we really think they have a good shot. But a team that I really like this year is Baylor. They just lost to Kansas by 3, but earlier in the year they beat them by 12.
Yeah.
And they're a really good team.
And they beat a lot of good teams this year. They're 5-1 against top 25 teams, 4-0 against teams 26-50. So they're 9-1 against top 50 teams this year, and that's the best record in college basketball. Now their average opponent ranking's up there too. It's right around 100. The team who's had the toughest schedule is Kansas. I got a future on them at 6-1. They're going to be tough to beat. I mean, listen, it's March Madness. It really depends on what bracket they put you in, on how many tough teams are in that bracket. Everything's got to fall right.
So when Selection Sunday happens, I mean, how much work are you putting in? Because obviously you want to put some more. You're probably looking at a couple more futures to win it, and now you got to break down 32 games.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at everything. You're looking. I mean, the coaches are big in college basketball. Size is big. Point guard play is massive. You look at a point guard like Michigan. I watched him play the other night. Good kid, can't create any separation. A little slow. When it came down to crunch time against Ohio State, turnovers, couldn't make it happen. Doesn't really have the clutch gene. I'm not talking bad about the kid, but this is just some of the observations I watched, because at one point I think the game was tied 54-54, and then you saw Ohio State's guards take over, and he couldn't. He just didn't have it in him.
How much does your breakdown of tournament games differ than the regular season?
Well, it's all about styles, man. Size is big, coaching is big. We look at probably.
It's different. Like, for instance, I mean, just based on our conversation before, your betting situations during the regular season. Now your betting style is more than
And the market changed. 80% of the time, the team that wins the game is going to cover the spread during March Madness. So what that means is, if you like this underdog and they're getting 6 or 7 points, okay, and you think they're going to have to win the game outright to cover that spread most of the time. So 80% of the time, if you're going to bet that dog, they're going to win the game outright. So there's an opportunity to put some money on the money line as well as taking the points. Well, it'll increase your bankroll that way. So the team's got to win the game if you're looking to handicap March Madness, or else they're not going to cover the spread.
So if I'm going to ask you, San Diego State, I say, listen up, I'm going down to one of the places as Penn State's up 12 now.
Oh, no kidding. Who would have thought?
13.
Who would have guessed?
If I put $1 or $2 to win it all, what you going to say San Diego State?
It's a little tough now because the odds dropped. I'll let him finish, but
Go ahead.
we took him at 40-1. The odds are right around 15-1. So we're looking with a team like San Diego State, who's maybe top 3, top 5 defensively. We're looking for a team to go deep, maybe Elite 8, and then hedge maybe our wager against one of the powerhouses because, like I said, the cream always rises to the top. But anything can happen. So, but at 15-1, it limits your hedging ability.
See, my man Richie Quinona is does some great talk show. He talks a lot of betting on his stuff down in Atlantic City. He's a terrific announcer, terrific host as well. So hopefully you're watching some of this as well. The locals, Villanova.
Not high on them.
Not
this
my
year.
favorite.
This year,
They're a good, solid team. They have the right coaching. You know what I mean? But
Great coach.
It's tough to count Jay Wright out, though.
Yeah.
He's got 2 under his belt.
he's
so.
amazing. But in order to make that deep run, they're just not cut out for it. In my
And
opinion.
every time they play a top 25 team, I think they're 2-4 their record. So, I mean, great coaching, goes far. Their schedule has been difficult, 3rd or 4th toughest in college basketball this year. So they're going to be battle tested. You hope these young kids progress as the season went on and got better. But to me, they're not really that impressive. Even though they've only got 7 losses on the year, but not that impressive.
They don't have the experience either. Experience is big.
I asked the 8 Ball. I don't think I've asked you this. Are you? Can you be a fan or no?
You're like he said it best. You're a fan, but you're loyal to your bankroll first, and that's just how it is. You know what I mean? I'm an Eagles fan. I'm a Sixers fan. I'm a Philly fan. But at the end of the day, that's not making you money.
Is it tough to bet against them?
No, because you try to remove all bias out of the way.
I can never bet against my Philly team, so I just can't root against them. I don't care how much money. I
No one's paying. The Eagles ain't paying our rent. The
bills.
Sixers
I know
ain't paying our bills.
people have told me that. Whenever I think of March Madness, I think of a few things. It's always a good time. The weather's about
Nice.
to change, and baseball season's about. It's my birthday and baseball season. So, you have any early read? I know he said over 84 in the Phillies. Do you have any early read on anything?
We had over in Phillies as well. We went under about 94.5 on the Astros,
I wonder why.
and we also went a little bit over on the Brewers. Season win total, and a team that we like to win their division is Cleveland. Last year, Minnesota won their division. We like Cleveland a lot this year. Some pitchers back there. We think they have a good shot at winning that division.
We're gonna bring you back to close. I want to bring in our host here, our real host.
Yeah, I'm going to let you talk to him real quick. I'm going to take a break. Let me.
Philly Godfather can't make it through the whole thing. We got to check his stamina. This is coming in now. This is Hanif Brown, who is the general manager here at the Fox and Hound. Thank you. First of all, thank you for your hospitality to help us launch this, and we hope we're going to be here for many more Tuesdays. I appreciate that. That's the first thing I'm going to say.
Well, thank you for choosing us, man. We really enjoy having you guys here.
Talk about everything going on here at the restaurant. There's always a lot going on, a lot of specials. You come in, you watch 30 games at once. Talk about everything going on with the restaurant.
Well, we're the biggest sports bar in Center City, Philadelphia. We're where people come to enjoy the fight nights, to enjoy Sixers games, playoff games, Eagles games. I mean, you name it, we show up. We have over 30 TVs. We have over 36 beers on draft. So this is where people come to make it feel like home.
Talk about some of the specials that you have going on certain nights.
Well, every night we have our ultimate platters. You can get the Fireball with the PBR for only $6. I mean, we try not to break anybody's pockets. We want everybody to have a good time, and we're not about running to the bank with everybody's money. You just come here and you have a good time. There's a different special every night. It's too many for me to name.
Obviously, this is a sports show, so talk about the sports dynamic coming in. You see a lot of guys arguing back and forth. I always say to my friends, because we argue about sports all the time, that's why God created sports bars.
Yeah.
So you can settle your sports arguments.
Well, we're the biggest Eagles bar in this area. We're also part Steelers bar. We have a lot of Steelers fans following.
Steelers in Michigan.
Absolutely. But we show every single game on NFL night. We show all the games during March Madness. I mean, it's insane. I always say this is the closest you can get to being at the actual games without actually going to a game.
Better food and for more affordable prices.
There you go.
I mean, you go to a game, you want to get a beer, it's like $15 for a beer. You can get like 6 of them here for $15.
Oh, absolutely.
Depending on, and how about, obviously I work in boxing, people fight nights. So you guys just had actually just had 2 big fight nights. First with McGregor in January, and then you just had the Deontay Wilder fight a couple weeks ago.
Insanity would be an understatement. It is extremely busy here on fight nights. People know we try to show all of the fights, whether it's UFC, whether it's boxing. There's not too many fights that I can't get on my TVs, or I don't reach out to my upper tier people to make sure that we have those fights here, because we've always been known as the premier fight bar in Center City, and we want to stay that way.
And you just had Joe Ham was just on. He's the guy who supplies it all for you guys, and he couldn't tell you how great of a relationship that the Fox and Hound has with his company, and it's a win-win for everyone. Anything you want to say to the people out there about the Fox? I mean, we're all over the world, so there's Fox and Hounds in every aspect of where we're being shown here tonight. So if you want to, plug anything, let them know.
Well, Fox and Hound is just about the culture. We make sure we hire good people. We make sure we have a good staff in here to make everybody feel like they're at home. We have a bunch of regulars that come in on a regular basis because we make it feel like home. Like I said, we don't charge insane prices. We're not trying to run everybody out of the house and home. We just want to make sure you come in, you can be comfortable, you can have a good time, you can look around and watch any game that you want to watch. And that's just what we're about, man. We're about customer service and making sure people have a good time.
Well, I've been here a million times. I always have a good time. So, we're honored to be here. And like I said, this is just the beginning. And we're going to have a lot of great guests and bring a lot of people, hopefully some excitement into the bar and stuff like that into the restaurant. Great food, great, just a great time here.
You guys are always welcome here, man. Thanks for having me on, and mi casa su casa, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I think it's my house is your house. I only know English here. So we got that was Hanif, who is the GM here, as the Godfather. Godfather. We wanted to bring the 8 ball back on. He wanted no parts.
He's tired. He's firing away right now. They're betting games, man. It's their livelihood. This is the time they make money.
15. Penn State's up 15.
That's it. I thought they'd be up by 20 by now.
Sorry, I'll take it now. So we'll go another 10 minutes. We'll just see some things in the world of sports. I know you follow this Astros situation. I know you guys said you bet under, probably the second that.
I mean, the win total came out, I think it was 97. Went down to like 94, 93. I haven't checked. But yeah, they're going to have problems. Everywhere they go, they're going to have issues. Everyone's going to watch them like a hawk. They lost one of their best pitchers. I mean, that's probably the best pitcher in baseball. So, they will have a chip on their shoulder, but it's going to be tough for them. It's going to be tough.
Just a couple more things. Talk about PhillyGodfather.com. What can we see there? When you go on PhillyGodfather.com, what's you giving out picks?
We give out free selections. We give out actual bets that we made that moved the market. There's a bunch of videos on there. I'm in the process of redoing the website, so we're going to have a brand new website for the next 3 to 6 months. It's been up for about 7 years now, so it's a little outdated, but it's simple. It's $3 a day when you sign up. The price point, I made sure it was only $3 a day because lots of these websites charge $25 and $50 a pick. So when you're laying 110 and you're playing $25 a pick, well, now you're laying 135.
Yeah, because you're paying for the pick on top.
And if you're betting $50 a pick, now you're laying 165. Now, if you're laying 165, the break-even point's right around 61.7, 61.5% off the top of my head. You got no chance of winning long term. So at $3 a day, we don't just give you one selection. We give you each and every sport. Tonight, there's like 10 games that we wagered on. So instead of laying 110, you're laying 110.2. So you still have the ability to make a profit long term. So that's why I made $3 a day the price point. There's a VIP package if you want access to like everyone's games on there. You're going to pay a little bit more. All our games are documented. I gave out so much free information.
And how many? We've met 3 tonight. How many guys you have kind of under your umbrella there?
There's a bunch of us. There's Tiger. There's the Poker Boys. There's Piggy you met here today, who's one of the best. There's 8-Ball, College Kids, Frankie Diamonds, MMA Odds. We got Joey Odessa. He was the guy I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
He was the first guy to put a spread on a UFC fight, which really catapulted UFC and took it to another level. Because before you could bet on UFC, people weren't willing to watch it. And you see what it does for the NFL over the years. You got 2 bad teams playing on each other on a Thursday night. Nobody wants to watch the game. All of a sudden, you put $50 on the game. You're cheering. You're screaming. So there's a bunch of guys on there. You just go to the website. You can check them all out. All long-term winners. All positive EV sports bettors. Guys that haven't just started. Most of the guys have been there for betting for 30 years. They mentioned us in Game of the Game. That we've been mentioned in the New York Times. They made a movie about us called Inside Game. There's another book coming out. I signed a book deal. There's all kinds of stuff going on. We got the youngest, sharpest sports bettors in the world, the young guns over here, who learned from the best of the best, as we did when we were young. And we're just trying to make a difference.
I kind of think you're like Darth Vader teaching the young guys.
I'm actually like Luke Skywalker. I'm saving the world. I'm saving sports bettors from losing their money to all these sports books who could care less about you.
If you do that, you'll bury the books, and then what are you going to do? You might get a real job.
They got enough money. They ain't worried about us. There's some of these books are real greedy, and they limit you or they cancel you out and they don't let you bet. But there's such an influx of recreational money that the market has never been larger. And for them to treat us the way they treat us, it just doesn't make any sense because we're a small part of their bottom figure. I mean, we're not really a big part of it.
Well, a few more minutes. Just Piggy mentioned about soccer. Any of the other sports that maybe you get an edge on beside the main ones we talked about?
I don't do no soccer. Piggy's
tennis.
unbelievable. So I don't do no tennis. There's guys out there doing tennis. I just, it's just there's just so much you can do. There's so many hours in a day. I also like to go out, have time, spend time with my kids, my family, go on vacation. So you really got to find a happy medium.
Well, you're on vacation. You're still
working, yeah. But you gotta enjoy yourself. Look, I went down to Super Bowl. I was on Radio Row. I did over 100 radio shows. I did 5 TV shows. But we still had time, to have some fun.
You told me something interesting before we went on. You can actually bet the presidency.
Yeah, you can bet the presidency. I mean, back in 2016, I thought the thing was a coin flip. I was getting 4-1 on on Mr. Cheeto Trump, man, and I thought there was a big edge there. I thought, anytime you're getting 4-1 on a coin flip, you take the plus money every time.
So you took Trump plus the points, huh?
Plus 400. We made a ton of money. This time around, Joe Biden all of a sudden had such a surge that now he's the odds-on favorite to win the Democratic nominee. I think he's
at Super Tuesday, so right?
Yeah, this is big. And now I know Bernie's favored in 8 out of the 14 states for Super Tuesday, but something funny's going on, and it's going to be a broker convention, in my opinion. And you might even see Bloomberg, who's got $60 billion and 60 billion reasons why he has a shot to get in on that. So anything is possible. I mean, I wouldn't put it past by the Democrats to maybe put Bloomberg in there or Biden, even though Bernie ends up with more of the votes.
Now, what other type of wagering can you bet? You said presidency. Any other Academy Awards?
There's all kinds of novelty props. I mean, in the Super Bowl, we bet the great Gatorade. We had the orange Gatorade plus 500.
What was it? I don't remember.
It was orange.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we won that wager, and that's all based on information. There's no way to handicap that stuff. I don't care how smart you are, unless someone's giving you the inside information. You got no shot.
So you got to get to the trainer there or something.
Well, you got to know some people. You got to hand some envelopes out. You got to make stuff happen. You know what I mean?
I think we should maybe end on that betting on. Did you bet the national anthem?
I think we bet the under, yeah, but it wasn't. I mean, you couldn't get down. It was.
And what about the coin flip?
No, I didn't bet the coin flip.
You can't get any information on that.
Well,
can
for
you?
years, the coin was a little top heavy. That's why you kept seeing tails come out for years, and then they finally had to change the coin.
Now, how do you know that?
We know people. We know people.
Well, this is some of the stuff that you're going to be probably seeing from us over the next, hopefully, 100 years. We're doing this stuff. But,
And let me tell you guys, the best way to make money in this business is if you have any information that's not factored into the line, any type of information that the bookmaker doesn't know about, whether it's an injured boxer that's still fighting, whether it's an injured player, whatever it is, anything that you may know that the bookmaker doesn't know, it's opportunity. It's an opportunity to make money.
let's see if these guys want to get a last word in. See, college kid, 8 Ball, want a last word?
Come on.
These guys have been very informative and well.
They're watching the scores. They're watching the wagers.
What? Just give me a last word about anything. Anyone out there give someone one word of advice?
Have no biases, you know.
Have no biases. Don't chase.
Don't chase. Have no biases.
Just treat it like a business.
Really like a business.
Pays like a business.
Well, we're going to be talking a lot about this stuff, and as stuff factors in, we're going to talk a lot of the regular sports as well. We're going to factor in the thing as Penn State's now up 18 points.
And we're getting 3.
And get one.
That's value.
Not me. I'm getting 1.5.
Oh, you laid the 1.5?
No, I got the
Oh,
one.
you took the. All right, it's good.
I'm the idiot who bet it early.
It's all right.
So, all right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Of course, the Philly Godfather, the 8 Ball, off camera. We got college kids, Piggy, and of course Johan Jr. So we won't be back here next Tuesday. I have some things to tend to. Maybe the next Tuesday, but definitely within 3 weeks, everyone will be getting a notification on that. And I want to thank the hundreds of people that have joined us tonight here at the Fox and Hound. I want to thank Hanif and Angel from the Fox and Hound, who've been absolutely terrific hosts for us, and we're going to be back here every Tuesday night. We thank everyone. Hope you're cashing them, not trashing them, and have a great night.